All right. So I'll do this in 2 stages, no problem. I think I'll stay right here. So this is our log. And again, we're answering the question, is bigger better? So typically, as I said before, typically the logs I split out are about 12 inches, 12 to 16 inches around. This one here, 25 inches. So in diameter, circumference, 80 inches. Okay, so we're almost 7 foot around. So it's a big animal. So there are, something hit this. It looks like it was struck by lightning. There's a split almost the whole way across it, and I've told you before, always go with the splits that are in your wood. Don't fight them, because the wood will actually split right along those lines regardless of where you start your wedges. So our growth rings are, I'd say they're average. They're about 2 to 3 millimeters, which for you my American friends, we're about 1/8 of an inch, a little bit more. Okay, so that's what they are. So this tree is about 150 years old. It's huge. Now the bark, I've always talked about the diamonds. It's diamond-shaped bark, and the diamonds are right on top of one another down this way along the log. If you take a look at it, you'll see that they line up pretty straight that way, which is usually a pretty good indication that you have straight wood underneath. Remember, I've always told you, bark doesn't lie. So as far as logs go, it's pretty much what I'd get if it was a smaller log. So the bark is straight. My growth rings aren't really tight. They're average, so they look pretty good. If this splits decent, I can get probably 10 to 12 handle bolts out of this one log. Now I usually don't get these because I can't manhandle them anymore. Okay, they're just too big, too rugged. So what we're going to do, as I've explained in earlier videos, we're going to actually split this out. So we're going to take our wedges and them all and start splitting around the outside of this. And I want to see, I'm looking for 2 things. Number one, does it split straight up and down? And then when I spin it and split down the grain, does it travel across a grain or stay nice and straight? And if it stays straight, we should be able to get quite a few handle bolts out of both of these logs. I got 2 of them from Brock and Karen Davidge up at Good Spring Farm. So, is bigger better is really a good question. And we even talk about that in handles, and I will go into that in my next video. Is a bigger handle actually stronger than a smaller handle, a thinner handle? And we'll cover that off in another video. But for now, we're going to split this, and I am going to start on that crack that is already in this. I'll just split one off so it won't take forever to show you. Okay, she's being a little bit stubborn. Which I expected. This is the butt block, so I expected it to be a little bit stubborn. So now I'll come out here. I'm going to come around from where that one I just did, around here about 3.5, 4 inches, because that's the size of the wood I want for my handle. Usually you get this on bigger wood. It'll take you a little bit to get your wedges started, because you've got to split the wood. You're separating it. It's got to get a good hold. But there, once it does, you're in. There. So, as I'll show you here, it's starting to split. Okay, so this one wedges is starting to split in here. Now with any luck at all, I might be able to get 2 pieces out of this. One here and then one here. But we'll see. And this here is the actual line that was already in it, caused by lightning. So we're going to try to split that out now. See if we can't get a couple of good bolts out of this. So I'm going to insert my other wedge to hold the place of this one. because this one here is a thinner point, so it holds in the wood a little bit better. And I'm going to start it in this other, in the lightning strike. There. Oh, look at that. Oh no, that's just no, that's just where my chainsaw went. Pretty sure. No, sir. Look at that. Look at that. Look what happened here. I was splitting this one, and then I, at the same time, put one in here to split it, and look at that. It split the whole piece right in half again. So this wood was struck by lightning. We know that from the black on the inside of it. And it must have shattered the wood. Okay, yeah, look at this here. Look at this here. You can see it's coming right up from the bottom. Look around here. See this? It came right up from the bottom. Okay, and that's where it is right here. Okay, so remember I've told you before, if you try to split against the seam, the wood will always go to that seam and split on it, which is exactly what's happened here. So what I'm going to do, it's okay, I'm just going to come down, I'm going to take where I started splitting, and I'm going to split it down to the bottom. So we override that other split that's coming up from the bottom. Okay? Okay, so we're going to put another one in below it. Just split it right to the bottom. There. Okay. So now what I've done, gee, gong show already. So what I've done now is split right to the bottom. So now I can step over and take my 4-inch piece out of the next one, which hopefully isn't going to split like this one did. So I'm just going to hit it a couple more times from the top. There, just to make sure it's split nice and wide apart. Now I'm going to take my thin one and do the same thing we tried to do last time. So usually I pick these up 3 or 4 times before they're finally seated. There. Okay. So we're almost there. Okay, so it's split off of there. Pretty nice. Okay, so split apart there pretty good. I'm going to go back down on this side because we need this pie-shaped piece out of there. Okay. Now, it hasn't come the whole way out yet. It hasn't popped the whole way out. But as you can see, okay, I split here, now I split here. This was the old one that we started with, but now we're going to do this one. So because it won't come out of there on its own, it's still hung on in the middle here, I'm going to try to split this outside piece off, staying right there. Okay, so without taking it the whole way out of there. Now sometimes, because I can't see it, it will travel across the grain. So I'm going to come in about 2 inches. There, and it started splitting. Now when you can't see it, I find the best thing to do is start it in a little bit and give it one good wallop so it travels down along the grain as fast as possible. So a couple in there. Okay, so this is what we got. So, it did travel. You can see here it traveled across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It traveled across 8 grains, which isn't good. Now I can still use this as a handle because I'll put my knob at this end, my palm swell, and then I'll just bring it right up along the edge of the bark so I can catch most of these grains here, and I'll actually cut off these ones that are what would be run out if I followed them, but I'm going to come into the wood so it stays straight along with the grain. So, not bad, but not great. So for the next one, I'm going to step in. I can see where the heartwood is. I'm going to come in just past the heartwood, so I'm taking about 1.5 inches. There, and see if I can't. This one won't travel straight. So, a couple little ones. Oh, bad sign. If it doesn't split right off, usually that tells me that they're holding on. Not bad. So, we know the outside is where we come across a bunch of grains. On the inside, we're kind of going diagonally along them. So for the most part, if you look down this wood, the grain is pretty straight. Okay, so it just travels out a little bit here, and that was on the outside piece. So not too bad. We salvaged that somewhat. What's going on? I'm going to try to break off another one here. So, is bigger better? Well, it's a little bit tougher to split, I know that. We're seeing that right now. So the good thing about the felt on the ground, keeps your wood from getting muddy and wet. It also keeps all your tools when they fall from getting muddy or wet. So it started splitting again. Pretty straight this way. Okay. And it's split not quite to the bottom. Okay. I'm going to come in here a little bit. I'm going to see if I can't separate the whole thing so that I don't worry about not seeing what's going on, but that don't look like that's going to happen. Okay, so there's nothing of a gap over here that I can see in. Okay, so I can see down this side, and I've got a fairly big gap here. Okay, so I can see down this side what's going to happen. So seeing what's going to happen will help me understand whether I need to lay it down or why it's traveling across the grain here. So I'm going to come in a little bit more, about 2 inches. And it's already started. I can see right now. This is why it's good to get the piece right clear there, because you can see now it's starting in across the grain. Okay, so if you know why Ash does that, write at the bottom of this email and let me know why. Now, I split wood with Bob Hetherington, the guy that showed me how to make axe handles. I split wood for him for years and years and years, and never did we have this issue with that I can recall. Anyways, I mean, I was, what, 20-some back then, so 30 years ago. I never recall our wood traveling across a grain. Now, this tree was alive yesterday. Okay, I cut this down yesterday with my steel 660. So it's fresh wood. Now, whether that's part of it or not, I have no idea. So I'm going to leave that one on the truck, and we'll do that one in a week or two and see if that's maybe it's too fresh. I don't know. But I can tell already this one's starting to travel across the grain. So what we need to do then is split the whole thing off, because as I told you before, the way to get around this is to get the piece out, lay it down, and then split it partway down the log. So I'm going to try to do that. There. Okay. Other one is in here. So I might as well take this one out. Try to separate it here. So basically we're splitting a big block. Okay, my wedges are falling everywhere. Because it is coming apart, which is good news. So we're trying everything we can to get the same part. It's holding on pretty tight. I should get an axe and cut I can see the strands that are holding it on here, holding it together. We almost got her. She's a stubborn cuss. There we go. Now she's let go. There. There, so we got her apart. We got her apart now. So what we'll do now, I'm going to show you how to salvage this. I know I did it on a video a while ago, but while we have a good opportunity to show you here, I'm going to do it right now. Didn't know the old East Coast Lumberjack was going to have such a workout today. There. Okay. So, after all that, what we have this. Okay, so this is the one we started splitting, and the split is starting to travel across the grain. So now I'll set you here so you can see how this works. I think you might be able to see it right there. So what I'm going to do is take my wedge. I want that one. I want my sharp one, because it's got to stick in. So what we're going to do now, because we see what's happening, it's going to travel across the grain and come in here. So I want to find some grains down below here that are in about the same distance. Right about there, okay? So that's in about 2 inches like it is at the top. And I want to make sure my wedge is parallel with the outside of it. And then we're going to bang that along and see what happens. It wants to do the same thing. See, it still wants to come across the grain. So it's starting to come in here a little bit, but remember, already coming in here a little bit. And then if I hit it hard, it should continue down to the bottom here. So let's see if we can't salvage this. A couple of, same thing, a really good hard whack. There. So by doing this, you see we get a little bit of run out down here at the bottom. Well, we did what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got about 5. We ran out about 5 grains. But we did salvage it. Rather than it going the whole way across, we got one more piece. And now what we'll do is, while this one's laying down, we'll do the next one in there while it's laying right here. So we're going to come into that heartwood, start it a few times. That ain't Cumberland. There, now she's took hold. We can give her a wallop. There, see that? Splits right down with the grain. Okay, so we salvaged that one pretty well. So, this is firewood. I'll use it to hold that other log on there as a wedge. Keep it from rolling all around the truck. Okay. So, I'm going to keep doing that the whole way around the outside of this log. A couple things about it, about this wood. It is traveling a little bit sideways. You see here, it's not going straight up and down like I thought it was going to. It's coming sideways. So my pieces are a little bit twisted. This one here is no good, we know, because it was split. So it is traveling a little bit, which isn't good. I'm going to try one more. I'm going to try splitting it from the opposite end and see if we can't somehow salvage this wood from going splitting across grain. Now maybe it's because it's big wood. Because usually when I was doing this with Bob Hetherington, he had smaller wood. And it seems like when I get into this big stuff, I get this running across a grain thing happening. Maybe that's why. Because it's big stuff. To fall over. It's still attached there a bit. There's a couple little threads down there. There. Now it's part. I'm going to try to come in here at the bottom where all these little threads of wood are attached. See if we can't get this to break free, and then I want to try it from the bottom up and see if that, sometimes that'll cure your issue you're having with it traveling cross grain. You see I'm prying with this axe handle down here because we're in a little bit of a bind. So we're trying to do whatever we can here to use our tools to get this thing apart, which we just did. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it end for end, like this. And we're going to try splitting down from the opposite end and see whether this cures our problem of going cross grain. So we come in here about 2 inches. No sir, see already? Look at that. Now when this happens, the old East Coast Lumberjack gets pretty bent out of shape. Because this wood, unless I lay it down and start splitting from the middle, and as you saw in the last one, even if I do, it's still going to travel across the grain. To some degree, I will still salvage some handles out of this. So verdict, is bigger better? Not necessarily. Bigger wood doesn't matter, it matters how well it splits. So if your big wood like this keeps splitting across the grain, it's not a whole lot better than a smaller block, because I'll get 6 nice ones out of a small block, or 8. And right now I've got 1, 2, the first one we did split right down the middle, right along with the across the grain, so it's gone. Then this last one I looked at, it's gone across the grain. It's no good. So I've got 2 out of 4, actually 2 out of 5 so far. So, and now this one here's ruined. So, is bigger better? I'd say the jury's still out on that one. Not necessarily. What matters is not the size of the block, it's the quality of the wood. And at East Coast Lumberjack, we're all about quality. So till next time, next video, hang out there. Subscribe, press subscribe here if you want to see the next videos. Again, we're going to talk about, is a bigger handle better than a thinner handle? Is bigger better? So that's going to be the subject for the next couple of weeks, is bigger necessarily better? On this one, the East Coast Lumberjack says, I don't think so. Not if it splits out across the grain as this one's doing. Talk to you later.